It's been 7 years since the game we now know as Final Fantasy XV first slinked out of the shadows, but for all this time, there's still so little we know about it. While we've yet to receive concrete details of the game's battle system, villains, or even a release date, the information that does currently exist gives fans a working synopsis of the game's basic premise, as well as the ammunition to form a reasonable hypothesis of what to expect in the coming tides. Join us as we connect the threads in this unique cross-section of fantasy and reality, deciphering fact and fiction behind one of the series' most intriguing titles yet. According to director Tetsuya Nomura, the darker tone and contemporary setting of Final Fantasy XV is poised to be unlike anything else you've seen from the series thus far. But just like many of the other games that have come before it, this too begins with the tale of a crystal. For years, crystals have been used as instruments of war, fueling the political and technological ambitions of the world's power-hungry nations, until prolonged conflict caused them to nearly disappear for good. The last remaining crystal resides in the modern kingdom of Lucis, seat to the royal family of Callum, home of the game's protagonist, Noctis. The 2011 trailer opens on a historic day in the war, a peace treaty signing between Lucis and the Kingdom of Niflheim. Gazing off into the Niflheim airships drifting in the distance, Noctis seems aloof to the day's proceedings, but is, in truth, an integral part of it. He's the son of King Regis Lucis Callum, heir apparent to the kingdom and last in line to the crystal's venerated protectors. En route towards a celebration for the signing, Noctis drifts into sleep as the radio drones on, blissfully unaware of the uprising to come. As it turns out, the festivities that evening are cut short by a surprise coup from Niflheim forces in an attempt to seize the crystal. Anarchy ensues as the treacherous nation lays waste to the unprepared kingdom, unleashing the full force of its infantry, mechs, and behemoths on its devastated city streets. In one pivotal scene, King Regis and his retinue are shown in a standoff with an assassination party led by Idola Eldercap, leader of Niflheim. Meanwhile, the action shifts to Noctis as he attempts to mount an escape with his trusted comrades Prompto, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Kor. Amidst all the chaos, the fate of the city, its ruler, and Crystal remains uncertain, but the determined Noctis makes one thing resoundingly clear: vengeance will be served 100-fold. This much is certain from the information officially released by Square, but what follows strays away from established fact. Dabbing into the realm of speculation, several keen observations can be made from putting together the various clues, quotes, and connections teased by each trailer thus far, illuminating several possibilities that conveniently reference the reality and fantasy that this game is aiming for. One of the earliest trailers in the Versus 13 days references a quote from one of William Shakespeare's plays. At first glance, it seems superficial, almost as if it's there to merely set the somber mood of the scene. But in truth, its significance has become more and more pronounced over time. As of the game's latest trailer, a mysterious-suited mobster bearing a strong family resemblance to Regis has appeared as part of the game's main cast, featured in the trailer's main photo lineup, as well as the scene in which Regis squares off against Idola and his Niflheim guard. The Shakespeare quote previously in question is from Hamlet, a story about an exiled prince's journey for vengeance against a treacherous uncle that claimed his father's crown for himself. If the game's connection to Hamlet is more than just a mere reference, could this man be Regis's so-called Claudius, the jealous and traitorous brother responsible for the coup at hand? It stands to reason as plausible, and yet there are more connections to the bard's famous stage show. In order to exact his plan for revenge, Hamlet acts erratically to throw off the suspicions of his pursuers. Much in the same fashion, Nomura has mentioned that Noctis puts on a cool veneer that betrays his rash impulsiveness. In the first act of the play, Hamlet makes a point of wearing dark clothes that reflect his sullen state of mind. Noctis, in all of his dark and brooding ways, seems to share much of the same taste in dress. Distrustful Polonius sends his daughter Ophelia to spy on Hamlet's true motives, resulting in a complicated rally of love, betrayal, and conflict. From what we've seen in the trailer so far, Noctis and Stella seem due for an equally complex relationship. Could someone in Noctis's own brotherhood turn out to be a Rosencrantz or Guildenstern in disguise as well? Moreover, there's the fact that Noctis apparently has eyes that, quote, see the light of expiring souls, a supernatural aspect that falls in line with Hamlet's visitation by his ghostly father. It serves as yet another convincing tie to Shakespeare's work, and more importantly, as the foundation to a separate connection entirely back to the series itself. Unique as Final Fantasy XV's world may be, it's not a completely cloistered one. On top of crystals serving as a major connection to the series' main lore, the game is also still officially considered part of the Fabula Nova Crystallis series, the lineage of games spawned by Final Fantasy XIII. The biggest piece of overlap here is with the goddess Etro, deity of chaos and the afterlife. She figures prominently as a major plot point in Final Fantasy XIII-2, and in 15 as the basis of a legend behind Noctis and Stella's rare power. According to a conversation between the two at a peace treaty party, only a chosen few receive the ability after a brush with death. A reoccurring theme in this sub-series revolves around the idea of choosing whether or not to serve a god and a higher purpose. It was the crux of the Lassie conflict in 13, the foundation of Caius Ballard's torment in 13-2, and Lightning's sacred duty in the upcoming Lightning Returns. By and large, the conflict over the crystal in 15 only seems like a prelude for bigger things to come, with Noctis and Stella at the forefront of it all. One of the key quotes from the very first trailer says as much: "A lone kingdom fighting to forestall the outer world from imposing its heretic order. The struggle for the final crystal is merely a prologue to the chronicles of a new era." To what end will Noctis and Stella carry out their divine charge? And could these star-crossed lovers be destined for a Shakespearean tragedy of their own? Answers remain as scarce as the trickle of media behind this long elusive game, but for the most part, its basic thrust is visible in plain sight. From Hamlet and gangsters to magical beings and Tokyo-inspired metropolises, Final Fantasy XV seems like just the game to break the mold on series conventions. Stay tuned to our updated coverage of the game as further details become available.